At ease, it's your boy Soul Immortal. Man, I just want to piggyback off of a small section of my last video when I talked about the power of words, right? Now, it doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter who you pray to. It doesn't even matter what your beliefs are. You know, a man just can't argue with the findings of Dr. Masaru Emoto, you know, when he had the water experiment, or what's commonly known now as the rice experiment, you know, where he was speaking words or sending vibrations into matter pretty much to get a certain outcome. Now, man, there are certain laws and certain principles that exist on this planet, that exist in this universe, and it's imperative that we learn to master these principles and laws to become the best versions of ourselves. Let's talk about it. You know, I laugh every time I hear that word now. Because during our whole childhood, right, growing up watching cartoons, growing up watching, you know, teen shows, we always heard that word abracadabra, which translates to I create what I speak. And you know, it seems like it would be natural for all of us to know that we are creators. But what something's holding us back, right? For example, like the fish. You don't have to teach a small fish how to swim. You know, you don't have to teach a bird how to fly. You know, all these animals are just born instinctively knowing who they are, what their purpose is, and what they're capable of. But when it comes to humans, it seems a little different. Now, my opinion is not that we don't instinctively know who we are. It's that it's so many outside sources telling us different. You know, I've said it a million times, so it's like kicking a dead horse. You know, television shows, the stuff we see on social media, you know, all these forms of entertainment, they're good, man. You know, and I partake in some of them myself sometimes. But you have to understand, you have to be aware that when you're watching these shows, that there's an underlying message that is planted inside of you. And a lot of times it's simply telling you that you're subhuman, that you're not capable of what you're capable of. So guys, today I just want to talk to you about two things. The first one is knowing who you are. Now when I say knowing who you are, I'm really meaning knowing what you're capable of. You know, see, you know, we hear this all the time, that we were born in the image of the Creator, but you really have to think about what we're saying. We're saying that we have the exact same creative power as the source that created us. And I'm telling you, for me personally, this was the hardest part for some reason to get a grasp of. But when I learned this is the information that took me over the hill, was knowing who I was. Because like I said, man, everything in this world is telling you that you're just some mundane, you know, subhuman entity. But once I realized that I was a part of the same thing that created me, life changed, guys. And it sounds so blasphemous to say it. So I really don't even say this to certain people. But guys, in a nutshell, you are a God. We are gods. And we have to govern ourselves accordingly. Now, a lot of people, and a lot of you guys are going to say, oh, what is he talking about? That's blasphemy. But guys, throughout history, I mean, I can easily throw you 2 or 3 verses in the Bible. I can easily throw you, you know, some scripture from the Quran. But guys, I'm talking about ancient Egypt. I'm talking about the writings on the walls of the pyramids. I'm talking about the hieroglyphs that are found all over the globe. The Mayan Indians taught this. The Egyptians taught this. Guys, this is not new information. But if the common man says this, if the common man goes out proclaiming that he is a God, he's shamed, he's frowned upon, he's saying that he's speaking blasphemy. But guys, I'm telling you, once you begin to walk, talk, and govern yourself accordingly, like you're a God, life will change. And I mean that literally. When I walk in any situation, when I walk in any room, when I walk in a boardroom full of high-ranking people, when I walk in a courtroom, wherever I am, I act as if I'm untouchable. I fear nothing. And people sense that. It's just something that's going to come off of you. Because I fear nothing. I fear absolutely nothing. I don't fear the loss of anything. I don't fear the loss of life. And once you get over that, once you realize that you're a God, that you've always existed, and that you'll never cease to exist, there's absolutely nothing to fear. So the first thing we need to know, guys, is having knowledge of self. It's having knowledge of who we are. And again, it's imperative that we start, governing ourselves accordingly. It's time to walk like it. It's time to act like it. It's time to be that. Now, guys, the second thing I want to talk about is it's imperative that you know that the power of life and death are in the power of the tongue. And I'll go even further. It is in the power of your thoughts. It's in the power of the vibrations you send out. I mean, it's referring back to the findings of Dr. Emoto, right? The rice experiment. Again, no man can argue with the evidence that came from speaking positive words and speaking negative words into physical matter and getting different results. Guys, that experiment alone should just be eye-opening. Because think about this. Think about people with certain sicknesses in their body. If we know that we can speak certain things into matter and get a different result, no man shall fear sickness. No man shall fear disease. And guys, I'm telling you, I've used this experiment on myself. And matter of fact, I actually found out by accident. I remember when I was in Shreveport, man. I was having I had a small apartment in Shreveport, Louisiana, some years ago. And I just felt like my life needed changing, man. And for some reason, I could tell that the music that I was listening to on a daily basis was having an effect on me. Now don't get it twisted. I don't want to sit here and be a hypocrite, because I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, I don't listen to certain types of music, because I still listen to trap music. I still listen to rap. Matter of fact, I'll be going to a Nipsey Hussle concert later on tonight. But one thing about me that I changed, that changed my life in a big way, was, if I'm not at the gym working out, if I'm not in my car, making a small trip around town or whatever, if I'm not in those two areas, it's very rare that it's very rare that I'm partaking in certain type musics. When I'm at home, it's normally like a jazz, or it's normally like some kind of classic or some kind of alternative, some kind of music that's on a different vibratory level. And this is what I found out a few years ago, man. I cut certain musics out, for 30. I think it was about 30 days. I cut it out, and man, I'm telling you, at the end of that 30 days, I was a completely different person. And I'm not saying that rap music is all bad, because most of it, a lot of it is uplifting, you know what I mean? But the music that I was listening to at that time, I could feel the effect that it had on my body. Mainly, I could feel the effect that it had on my mind. And what this did was it gave me a better understanding on the power of words. It It made me more conscious of the words that I spoke to my employees back at that time. It made me more conscious mainly with the words that I spoke with my son and the vibrations I sent him. I mean, it changed everything. Everybody I interacted with, it changed it. It changed my interaction with them because I wanted to speak positivity into them people if I wanted to get that back. Everything that had to do with my life, period, I learned how to speak things into it, right? The power of words. Now, it works both ways. Now, you always hear about me saying that, you know, my circle is super small. I have one guy that I consider my best friend, and it's a guy that I've been knowing since I was like 2 or 3 years old, right? My whole life, pretty much. And the reason I keep my circle so small is because I'm very funny about outside influences. And not only am I funny about it, for some reason, I'm very sensitive to it. And I really don't like that about myself, but I'm very sensitive to other people's energies. Like I can just be in a room with certain people that I may know, or people that I may not know, and if their energy is bad, if they're putting out negative vibes, for some reason I can feel it, and I'm sure some of you guys can relate to that. So you know, it's hard for me to just be around certain people constantly that have a negative vibe, because nowadays most people have a negative vibe, you know. So it's just important, guys, that you make sure that your circle is right and that the people that you're hanging around are positive people. In a nutshell, guys, it's just time for us to level up. All of us, we're finna level up, man. We're getting ready to go to a 2019, and we need to be on point. And this is something that I wanted to say earlier. You know, we talked about knowledge of self, knowing who you are, knowing that you are God. We talked about knowing knowing the power of words, that the power of words are life and death, right? But one thing we need to understand, guys, one thing that's a barrier to all of us is having to make sense of things. You know what I'm saying? Like we can know who we are. We can know that the words that we speak, you know, create the reality that we want. But one thing that hinders most of us is trying to rationalize or trying to make sense of everything. Once you speak these words, once you speak things into existence, one thing that we do to shoot ourselves down is trying to map it out. Okay, you say, you know what, I'm speaking this job into existence. And in your mind, you said, okay, well, now I have to get this connected. I have to do this, I have to do that. Or you say, you know what, I want this car. You know, I want the new Porsche 911. I want the Chevy, whatever. I want the, you know, whatever it is you want, car, house. You'll say in your mind, I want this. I'm speaking it into existence. I believe it. And then what we'll do, we'll shoot ourselves in the foot, because we'll say, okay, now this is how it's going to happen. This is how it's going to, and it's good to have a game plan, but what I'm saying is, guys, you have to understand that we answer to a higher power. You know what I'm saying? Any way that we think we can map something out to get to a goal, guys, I'm telling you, we're only touching the tip of the iceberg. Once you speak something into existence, a lot of times it's just time for us to just step back and let it happen and watch the miracles unfold. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we get in our own way by trying to force things to happen. Know who you are, speak it into existence, and step back and let God be God. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk a lot more about this, guys, going forward.